Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into Chapter 5 of our source material, and we're going to be focusing all on local and traditional games. Now, we aren't just reading through a boring rulebook today, no way. We're actually going to examine this fascinating blueprint for how play literally builds character. So let's just jump right in.
At its core, play is just natural, right? And it inherently builds this wonderful feeling of togetherness. What we're going to see today is how these specific regional games are meticulously designed to teach children to treat each other sensitively and really with care. We're looking at how everyday playground fun actually turns into profound, lifelong lessons on kindness and empathy. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with an introduction to traditional games, then look at how they enhance senses and focus. After that, we'll move into building teamwork and empathy, explore connecting with the environment, and finally, we'll break down exactly how to assess all this social-emotional growth.
All right, part 1, introduction to traditional games. The main thing to grasp here is that, well, kids everywhere play with their neighborhood friends. Every single region has its own specific games. And sure, they might be known by completely different names depending on where you are in the country, but as our source explicitly notes, their shared, ultimate goal is always the same: helping kids learn to treat each other with kindness and just become better human beings.
Moving right along to Section 2, Enhancing Senses and Focus. This is where we look at how games hone individual physical and mental sharpness.
I want to pose a question to you right off the bat, especially if you're a parent or an educator listening in. How in the world do simple, seemingly chaotic playground games actually build intense concentration and rapid sensory response? It's really easy to just dismiss play as kids burning off energy, but there is incredible hidden cognitive value going on here.
To figure that out, let's introduce two prime examples straight from the source material: Anti-Pile and Rinky Pinky Punk. Both of these are just absolutely fantastic examples of activities that demand intense focus and immediate sensory reaction from the players. Let's break down the mechanics of Anti-Pile first. It's basically a marble game, known by various names like Gully Kayla, depending on where you're from. Students form groups and dig a little round hole in the ground. That's the pill. Then they throw marbles toward it to decide who goes first based on who's closest to the hole. But what's really fascinating here is the specific physical technique required. They have to place their thumb on the ground, draw the marble back exactly like a bowstring, and release it to hit targets. So the absolutely crucial point here is the purpose behind those mechanics. Listen, this isn't just about winning a pocket full of marbles. It's expressly designed to enhance fine motor movements, deep concentration, and pinpoint accuracy. Plus, the source outlines this great circle time activity where teachers and students sit down and discuss what it was like to create their own playing area and follow the rules. So it's really about building a structured environment from scratch and then focusing intensely within it. Okay, on to our second example, Rinky Pinky Ponk. In this one student is designated as the dinner. The rest of the group asks Rinky Pinky Ponk what color you want. If the dinner shouts out, "Orange!" absolute chaos erupts. And I mean that in the best, most energetic way possible. Kids are scrambling, laughing, sprinting, because they have to instantly run and physically touch an orange object before the dinner tags them. And to bump up the difficulty, teachers can actually change the rules so the dinner asks for materials, like wood or stone or iron, instead of just colors. And this brilliantly illustrates our whole point about sensory response. The entire purpose of Rinky Pinky Ponk is to develop quick thinking, deeply intertwined with sensory development. Just think about what a child's brain has to do in that split second. They have to instantly process an auditory cue, rapidly scan a really complex visual environment for a specific color or texture, make a snap decision on the safest route, and physically sprint to it. It sharpens agility and sensory processing remarkably well.
All right, let's shift gears to Section 3. Building teamwork and empathy. We're moving from individual skills to fostering deep social reliance and trust.
Consider this for a second. How do we teach anticipation of a possible threat and simultaneously teach children to completely rely on others? Traditional games have this brilliant way of simulating safe, controlled threats on the playground, which teaches kids how to navigate really complex social and spatial situations.
Let's look at Kokole Chapake. It's a classic handkerchief game, and there are tons of regional versions of this across India. Basically, students sit in a circle while the dinner walks around the outside anti-clockwise. The source highlights this wonderful Marathi chant they use:
Maja Mumcha Patra Haravla, which translates to, "My uncle's letter is missing." Now, here comes the tension. The Denner has to stealthily drop the handkerchief behind a student. That student has to realize it's there, grab it, and chase the Denner down.
The specific purpose here? It's all about developing anticipation and alertness from a possible threat. During circle time, kids are asked to reflect on how they could possibly anticipate that handkerchief dropping behind them. Since they literally cannot see behind their own backs, they have to learn to heighten their other senses. They're listening for footsteps, feeling for a shift in the air, or even reading the subtle facial expressions of their friends sitting across the circle. Honestly, it's masterclass level situational awareness.
Next up, we have games built entirely on trust by temporarily removing a primary sense. Sundariku Abushanam Kutal is played down in southern India, where a blindfolded student has to walk up to a board and accurately pin a bindi or an earring on a drawn face. Then there's the blindfold ball hit, where a student tries to hit a ball with a stick. Because they're blindfolded, they are forced to estimate distance and, crucially, they have to rely entirely on the verbal cues of their teammates who are acting as their navigators.
And this brings us to a really beautiful developmental milestone. The core purpose here is to develop teamwork, empathy, and a strong sense of fair play. By making one child the navigator for a blindfolded peer, you force them into a position of profound empathy. They have to truly understand their teammates' vulnerability, communicate clearly, and support them securely. It just completely removes ego from the equation.
Which brings us to Section 4, Connecting with the Environment. This is about taking that empathy we just talked about and expanding it outward to nature.
A really fantastic example from the text is the Tree Protector game. Students are divided up into attackers and protectors. The action in this one is intense. The protectors form a reverse circle by locking their elbows tightly around a tree, while the attackers lunge and strategize to get past them to touch the trunk. The protectors have to work as a unified, moving physical wall, continuously sidestepping in a circle to block the attackers. If an attacker touches a defender, they're out. But if they touch the trunk, the roles reverse.
Now, all that kinetic energy serves a very specific purpose: to develop awareness about the actual protection of the environment. In the circle time following the game, the teacher asks the students, "What can you do to protect the environment?" By literally physically acting as a human shield for a tree, these children internalize a protective instinct. It makes actual real-world conservation discussions so much more tangible and impactful for them.
And finally, Section 5, Assessing Social-Emotional Growth. We're going to look at tracking all this progress. If you're a parent or an educator tuning in, pay attention, because this is the most practical section for you.
The source provides this fantastic parent and guardian assessment rubric, and it's graded simply on a 1 to 5 scale. Let's see how this transforms into a real journey of growth. So under enjoyability, a child might start out at level 1, just actively taking part. But watch them grow to level 5, where they're taking leadership roles, innovating new ways to play, and modifying rules to encourage more teamwork. Under active lifestyle, it progresses from just performing with basic control all the way up to excelling and inspiring the other kids. And under responsibilities, it moves from handling basic daily duties to actively supporting others in developing strong habits of discipline.
So, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is tracking growth over competition. The ultimate goal of playing Anti-Pill, or Rinky Pinky Punk, isn't just about who wins the game. The purpose of this assessment is to help parents track how these social and emotional qualities transform from the playground into the child's actual daily life. It focuses entirely on individual progress, monitoring their motivation, seeing how they handled shared duties at home, and watching their growing confidence. The playground really is just the training ground for life.
Which leaves us with this final thought for today. Looking back at the marbles, the blindfolds, all the running around, I want you to ask yourself, what hidden life lessons did your favorite childhood game teach you without you even realizing it at the time? The power of play is profound. It shapes not just our physical agility, but our humanity. So, the next time you see kids running in chaotic circles on the playground, just remember, they're building character. Thanks for joining this explainer. Keep learning and keep exploring.